At midnight in the pouring rain, David stopped his car and turned on the windshield wipers when he noticed a pregnant woman standing alone on the opposite sidewalk with her hand pressed against her stomach. The woman was clearly in labor pains, bent over in agony. David didn't hesitate, but he didn't yet know that this decision would become the biggest turning point of his life. Welcome to Stories Worth Telling. Before we begin this powerful story of compassion, sacrifice, and unexpected miracles, please let us know in the comments which city you're watching us from today, and if you believe stories like these deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us ensure they're never forgotten. In the narrow streets of Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, 45-year-old David Rodriguez was driving his yellow taxi on the final rounds of his night shift. He had been doing this job for 20 years and knew every corner of the city like the rooms of his own house. That night, the weather was exceptionally bad. The cold November rain was falling so heavily, it seemed as if the sky was pouring all its fury onto the earth. He looked at his watch. 11:47 p.m. It was time to go home. His wife, Maria, would be waiting for him. Their two children, 16-year-old Sophia and 12-year-old Miguel, were probably already asleep. David was tired. He had worked 14 hours that day. Fuel costs, car payments, house rent, everything was so expensive that he had to work until late at night. As he turned from Pike Street onto Virginia Street, the windshield wipers were struggling to keep up with the intensity of the rain. Visibility was very low. David slowed down and began to move carefully. Just then, he caught sight of movement on the sidewalk to his left. At first, he thought it was just a shadow, but when he looked more carefully, he realized it was a woman, a pregnant woman, and she was clearly struggling. David slowed his car and pulled over. The woman, her long dark hair soaked in the rain, had one hand pressed against her stomach and was trying to hold on to the wall with the other. Her face was contorted with pain, and she was gasping for breath. David's heart began to race. This woman was giving birth, here, in the middle of the street, at midnight. He quickly got out of his car. Even though the rain immediately soaked his clothes, he didn't care. "Ma'am," he called out as he ran. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up. She was in her late 20s, looking very young. Her eyes were filled with fear. She stammered. "I think my baby is coming." David came to her side. The woman's condition was serious. Her contractions were clearly intensifying. "What's your name?" he asked in a calm voice. "Emily," the woman said breathlessly. "Emily Johnson. Emily, I'm David. I'm going to take you to the hospital, okay? Everything will be fine." Emily's eyes lit up with hope, but then wrinkled with worry. I don't have money. I can't pay for a taxi." David hesitated. The money he earned tonight was the money he had set aside for his children's school expenses tomorrow, but this woman's condition was critical. Money didn't matter at all. "Don't worry about money," he said decisively. "Let's get in the car now." He gently took Emily by the arm and helped her walk toward the taxi. The woman was groaning with every step. Her contractions were getting closer together. After getting in the car, David floored the gas pedal. The nearest hospital was Swedish Medical Center, but with traffic it would take 15 minutes. Emily didn't have that much time. "Emily, keep talking to me," David said, looking in the rearview mirror. "Is this your first baby?" "Yes," Emily replied, pressing her hand tightly against her stomach. "And I'm so scared." "Don't be afraid. I'm a father of two. Everything will be fine. Where's your baby's father?" Emily's face fell. He's not with us. I'm alone." David's heart sank. This young woman was alone during the most difficult moment of her life. "You're not alone anymore," he said sincerely. "I'm here." On the way to the hospital, Emily told David her story. She was only 23 years old. Her boyfriend had left when he learned about the pregnancy. Her family had rejected her. She lived alone in a small apartment and worked a part-time job. She had no health insurance. "The contractions started when I was leaving work tonight," Emily said. Home was only 2 blocks away. I thought I could walk. But then, everything happened so fast." David was inwardly angry. It was unacceptable for this young woman to be left alone in this condition. "Emily, I promise you, everything will be fine." When they arrived at the hospital, David jumped out and helped the nurses who placed Emily in a wheelchair. The emergency room doctor immediately examined Emily. "You arrived just in time," the doctor told David. "The baby will be born in a few minutes." David sat in the waiting room. He waited for hours. Maria called him several times, saying she was worried. David explained the situation. When Maria heard what David had done, she proudly said, "You did the right thing." At 4:30 in the morning, one of the nurses approached David. "Mr. Rodriguez, Emily and the baby are doing very well. She wants to see you." When David entered Emily's room, his eyes filled with tears. Emily was holding a tiny baby in her arms. The baby was so small and perfect. "David," Emily said with tears in her eyes, "I don't know how to thank you. If it weren't for you—" "You don't need to thank me," David said softly. "Your baby is beautiful. What will his name be?" "David," Emily said, smiling. "I'm going to name him David in your honor." David's throat tightened. This is a great honor, Emily." The nurse approached David. "Mr. Rodriguez, Emily's situation is a bit complicated. She has no health insurance and the hospital costs will be quite high." David didn't hesitate. "Whatever the bill is, I'll pay it." "David, no," Emily protested. "This is too much. I can't do this." "Emily, the only thing you need to do is raise this beautiful baby. Leave the rest to me." David went to the hospital cashier that day and paid all of Emily's expenses. This was all the money he had saved for his children's school expenses, set aside for the house loan installment, and even kept as an emergency fund. But he wasn't sorry. When he got home, Maria greeted him. When David told her what happened, Maria's eyes filled with tears. "You're an incredible person, David," she said, hugging her husband. "We'll find money somehow. You saved a life." Their children, Sophia and Miguel, were so proud of their father. "My dad is a superhero," Miguel would tell his friends. 3 weeks passed. David was trying to continue his life. His financial situation had become difficult, but whenever he thought of Emily and baby David, he was happy. He had visited them in the hospital several times. Emily was recovering, and the baby was growing healthy. That Thursday morning, David got up early as usual and got in his taxi. He picked up his first customer from Pike Place Market, a middle-aged woman going to work. The woman was being very kind and chatting with David. "By the way," the woman said during the trip, "I read a news story in the Seattle Times. A taxi driver took a pregnant woman to the hospital for free and paid all her expenses. Are you that person?" David was surprised. "How did you know?" "A young mother named Emily Johnson shared your story with reporters. The whole city is talking about you. You're a local hero." When David got home, Sophia ran to greet him. "Dad, you're in the newspaper, look." David's photo was on the front page of the Seattle Times. The headline read, "Taxi Driver's Sacrifice. Saved a mother and baby's life." The article told Emily's story. Emily had shared in detail what David had done. She wrote that David not only provided free transportation, but also paid all hospital expenses. "This man is my lifesaver," Emily said in the interview. "Without him, neither I nor my baby would be alive. There are still angels in the world, and David Rodriguez is one of them." That day, David's phone never stopped ringing. Local television channels wanted to interview him, but David avoided the media. He had just done the right thing. However, his life was beginning to change. Customers who got in his taxi recognized him and gave generous tips. Many people were touched by his story and wanted to help. A week later, David's door was knocked. When he opened the door, a middle-aged man in a suit was standing there. "Mr. Rodriguez, I'm Michael Thompson from Thompson and Associates law firm. Can I talk to you?" David curiously let the man inside. Michael Thompson was a famous lawyer. "Mr. Rodriguez, I read your story. I want to make you an offer. Our firm helps families in need as part of our social responsibility project. The sacrifice you made impressed us greatly. We have a job offer for you." David was surprised. "What kind of job?" "Social services coordinator position at our firm. The salary will be 3 times your current income. Your job description will be to help people in situations like yours." David couldn't believe it. "But I'm only a high school graduate. I don't know law." "Mr. Rodriguez, what you need is not legal knowledge. It's human values, and you have more than enough of those." David talked to Maria that night. This opportunity would be life-changing for his family. Their children could go to better schools. They could pay off their house loan. The following week, David started his new job. Working at Thompson and Associates was a completely different experience. He no longer drove a taxi. He worked in a law office. His task was to coordinate the firm's pro bono cases and provide legal assistance to families in need. On his first days, he visited Emily. Emily and baby David now lived in a small but comfortable apartment. Emily had quit her part-time job and could focus on her baby because charitable people in the city were helping her. "David," Emily said, "you didn't just save my life that night. You gave me hope. You showed me that people can still be good." Baby David was growing and was very healthy. Emily was also slowly getting back on her feet. With David's help, she had applied to a legal aid organization and received official support for the baby. 6 months passed. David's life had completely changed. He was successful in his new job. The lawyers at the company respected him and valued his opinions. Thanks to his salary, his family's standard of living had improved. One day, Michael Thompson called David to his office. "David, I want to talk to you. Our firm is considering you as a partner." David was shocked. "Partner? But I'm not a lawyer." "David, you're someone who understands people, can empathize, and make right decisions. These are much more valuable qualities than being a lawyer. Our firm needs someone like you." That evening when David went home, Maria was preparing dinner in the kitchen. Sophia was doing her math homework, and Miguel had returned from football practice. "How was your day?" Maria asked. David told her what happened. Maria couldn't believe it. "Really? Are you going to be a partner?" "Yes, but that's not the most important thing," David said. "The most important thing is that when I helped Emily that night, I didn't just save her, I also saved myself." That weekend, David, Maria, and the children visited Emily. Baby David was now 6 months old and had started to smile. Emily looked very happy. "David," Emily said, "I want to tell you something. I started nursing school. I got a scholarship with your help. I'll graduate in 2 years. David smiled proudly. "That's wonderful, Emily. You deserve this. And," Emily continued, "when I graduate, I want to help mothers in need, just like you did for me." David's eyes filled with tears. The decision he made that night hadn't just changed Emily's life. It had created a ripple effect, touching many lives. A year later, David became the youngest partner at Thompson and Associates. He now worked at one of Seattle's most prestigious law firms, but he was still the same David, humble, helpful, and empathetic. The David Rodriguez Social Aid Fund was established at the firm. This fund provided legal and financial support to mothers in difficult situations, like Emily. Emily successfully completed nursing school and started working at Seattle Children's Hospital. Like David, she focused on helping families in need. David's story had become legendary in Seattle. Many people were inspired by him and started helping others. A movement known as the David Effect was formed in the city. People were doing unexpected kindnesses and helping those in need. 5 years later, David and his family now lived in a large house in a beautiful neighborhood of Seattle. Sophia had been accepted to university, and Miguel was also a successful student. Maria had returned to teaching. But David's greatest happiness was watching Emily and baby David. Emily was now an experienced nurse and had helped hundreds of mothers. Baby David had also become a healthy, happy 5-year-old child. That famous night, David was just a taxi driver. Now he was one of Seattle's most respected social service specialists. But he never regretted the decision he made that night. Every day when he went to his office, he would pass through that old taxi route. When he passed the corner where he first saw Emily, he would always stop and remember that moment. That moment was the most beautiful turning point of his life. David's story teaches us this. Sometimes the most beautiful moments of our lives are the moments when we help others. And true wealth is hidden not in material things, but in human relationships. Finally, every night before going to bed, David would think, by helping Emily that night, I actually helped myself, because doing good changes not only the receiver, but also the giver. This story reminds us, compassion and sacrifice bring miracles not only to those in need, but also to those who help. Because kindness always returns, sometimes in unexpected ways and at unexpected times. If you enjoyed this inspiring story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share with us in the comments whether you've had a similar experience. In our next video, we'll encounter another life-changing story. See you soon.